Good morning. It's Thursday, January 9th, 8:32 a.m. A little later than normal because I went to sleep late, dealing with people that are very, very affected by, and okay, lots of things. Should have thought about this first. EFF, ECT, affected, or AFF, more of an affectation. Anyway, dealing with the people that were affected by the Los Angeles fires that were burning all around us in different pockets. Not me, but also not me. Affected by it, apart from the acrid smell of smoke this morning. Very much they seem to be now dissipating. The wind has died down. The wind assisted fire. Hello. Yes, this is live. Good morning, Lisa. Lisa Lula has joined me from England, and I know the reports in England are Hollywood is on fire, and it's not. It's not. It's dissipated. There was a fire. There were many fires to the east and west of me, to the north of me. None in the south. So it's not like they got four corners burning. Twice in 2 days, I didn't know about fires. Oh, okay. They were quite severe. When did it start? 2 days ago. Luckily, what happened was, and I say luckily, I mean, fortunately, I suppose, the fires started early enough in the morning that the evacuation orders were sent out to people who were already awake. If it had happened in the middle of the night, there would be probably a higher death toll. At the moment, the death toll is pretty low because most people were evacuated. Now, the fire in the West Coast fire in the Pacific Palisades next to Malibu and Santa Monica, these are all words. These are all places that most people dream about, West Coast things. They affected a lot of people, especially people close to me, because their childhood memories were of those areas, growing up in those areas. And so there's going to be a tremendous amount of emotional fallout from these fires. But it's not the death of the people, although a few people did die, sadly, but it's the death of the dream. And again, it's this dreamscape. No, I didn't have to evacuate my area, although areas very close to me evacuated because of they didn't know how far they could control it. So no, I'm safe. Everything's good about me, Lisa Lula, and property damage is the main thing. I'm still dealing with people close to me. Therapy rescheduled for tomorrow too. Thanks for helping. Okay, so this is again going to go back to something I said many years ago when I was chatting to friends. Yeah, it's great that I'm safe, but I'm always going to be safe, love. Please don't worry about me. Yeah. Don't be concerned too much about my well-being. My well-being is, my human existence. I help people get through problems and, oh gosh. There you go. Somebody who's completely out of control of their emotions, dealing with the aftermath, because this person's childhood home and all of its surroundings, all of her memories of her part of the bigger picture of Los Angeles. Oh my God, look at that, bingo wings. I am getting bingo wings. House. Oops. I gotta get fit. Right. I wanted to talk about the morning after not being a misspelling. People will be absolutely emotionally devastated by the loss of property and things because their memory has been burnt. So if I look at this in a more philosophical way and step back from it, it's like a lot of people have had their childhood wiped out, like a memory wipe. Parts of Hollywood did burn, and the major devastation is to the east of me. There's a place called Pasadena, big city. A lot of people lost their properties on the hillsides and the foothills, which are part of natural foliage that was so dry that it burnt and then just caught the houses on fire. But they evacuated. But there's now people dealing with their loss of their everything, which is, again, I'll go back to their thing. They have their lives to rebuild. So it's like a memory wipe in many cases for reals, and in many cases, their memories. And parts of Hollywood burn, the Hollywood Hills, again, because you can't really build up there unless you're spending billions. The Hollywood, because it's difficult to build on hillsides that go into Hollywood. There's so many factors that play into this, but the real factor for me as an observer from inside the fires is the aftermath is going to be people emotionally affected and going inside and going, I can't deal with this. And getting past the idea that we have this city, the whole of Los Angeles, this city needed some form of cleansing. Sounds very contentious. I shouldn't really say it. But fire does cleanse. And it's sad. It's very sad to witness people that have built their lives around this idea of ownership of this world and not taken full responsibility for it. So I'm not looking at it like it's a punishment. I think that's bullshit. I think it's more like, I don't know, maybe Mother Nature just said, you know what, it's time to clean out a bit of this area. I don't know. But the emotional devastation following it, and I'm dealing with it immediately because people who are close to me who weren't directly affected are indirectly freaking out this morning. Freaking out. I tried to put myself in the position yesterday when I was hearing of all these terrible, the news coverage was awful, but just looking at it geographically and where the fires were was important, but then buying into the narrative. So I turned the volume down and just watched. But the thing is, if people can balance their emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual self, and then they can communicate directly. So this is all five, it's really old story. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and then transmit and receive. That's what 5 fingers. If people can balance themselves enough, and I know it all fluctuates, but if they can balance themselves enough, the realization that they're alive this morning and mourning, again, the misspelling, or was it a spell that was cast? The misspelling, mourning, after the fires. Um, you know, a couple of years ago, I went back to England. It was actually in the winter. Actually, it was last year, wasn't it? But I saw my mum's pride and joy, her home, completely remodeled and looking like a carbuncle, and it gave me some form of closure on my mother passing. Of course, I still feel her with me every day, but and it's a hard thing to lose a parent, or to lose. I mean, the hardest thing in the world must be to lose a child. But to me, there's going to be a sense of mourning that will follow this devastation. There's an area, like I said, I was saying, between Malibu and Santa Monica is the Pacific Palisades, a very wealthy area, and a lot of homes are built, but also the schools, the parks. It's the Pacific Palisades. What it was is no longer, and that was my baby mama. That was her home, and she was raised there with 7 other siblings and parents and friends, and they don't have the emotional memory, and I don't call it muscle memory, but it's the emotional memory of being war torn. I mean, it's like a war zone. Today, the Pacific Palisades is like a war zone. So, yeah. Okay. Yes, there must be lots of emotions, almost like a shift in the material world. The snake's head had burnt itself. Yes, you're in the center of it. Hi, Nigel. Are you all right? And the fire's near you. Yeah, I mean, you'll have to listen to this back, because I did an emotional outpouring, but it wasn't my emotional outpouring. It was an understanding of people mourning their loss. It's not a misspelling, because it's the morning after, and large areas are gone, and they're gone. So, yeah, listen to it back after Juicy and Lucy and Lisa Lula. So, in news reports are always going to jump on this and just make it bigger than what it was. Excuse me. My youngest daughter has got a boyfriend. She lives in the valley. She was fine. She wasn't touched by the fire, but she's emotionally touched because through her mom and memories of being in an area that belonged to her grandmother, who she's very, very close to, have gone. And the grandmother is devastated, and I'm sure. And it affects my granddaughter, because these things just do. They're within. And yes, the sense of mourning, the sense of sadness. But she has a boyfriend that lived in Hollywood, and he had to be evacuated and go stay with my daughter, who lives in the valley. And the thing is, the thing that can grow from this is a sense of responsibility towards each other, which is to reach out and love people and be more kind. If we can get that through this emotional mourning, if we can get that out into the world, then we may actually be able to do something that's more centering for humanity that lives on this west coast, that is, always going to be hit with earthquakes and mud floods and fires. We're right on the edge of the desert. There's so many things that make this a geographically unsafe place to be, but it also gives you a sense of like the impermanence of life itself, human existence, the impermanence of human existence, and then your attachment to things over your attachment to others. And we're a human race. I don't know why we're racing, but we're a human race, and we must connect with each other on love and kindness. And that's very important, and I think it might remind people that, lived in their castle on the hill overlooking the ocean, or castle on the hill overlooking Hollywood, castle on the hill overlooking the vast area of Los Angeles. These are all people that are being reminded in their castles that there's a responsibility to being here, to being kind and caring and loving and advancing humanity. That's more important than the things that got flattened by this fire. And I don't want to get into the back end of this when it's all settled down and the conspiracy nuts start flying around. Yeah, sure. I mean, to be honest, there was evil in Los Angeles. There was evil. There always has been evil. But the thing is that the balance was off. Good and evil, black and white, all of these things. They've always been condensed into the major cities. This happens when there's a riot in London, or, an upheaval in Italy, in Rome. This happens. These centralized places of power have good and evil, and the balance goes off. And if it goes off, it might be a good thing to get rid of that is causing the consternation and the corruption that we see evident in society, the use of each other. We've got to stop using each other and start helping each other, be more kind. And I know that sounds awful for a lot of people that have been like my beautiful friends, Juicy and Lucy and Lisa Lula, lots of friends that I've made online over the last few years because we've been stymied by connectivity, but we're still connected. A lot of my friends have an awareness of this shift that's going on, and a lot of people are only just going like, wow, this happened here. I hate to use the word NIMBY, not in my backyard, NIMBY, not in my backyard. That if they're unaffected, then they can still pontificate from their castle in the sky. Or can they? If they're doing the work inside, then they might be able to operate in a kinder, more caring way. Oh, God, that was a big one. Emotionally, because does it affect me emotionally? Yes. Do I have to center myself on a daily basis in this city of lost angels? Yes. I mean, I have to center myself. And if I don't center myself, then I'm operating from a standpoint of exterior push-pull. At the beginning of the troubles, I won't use the word 4 or 5 years ago, when this whole thing the control system started to put a stranglehold on everybody. I posted a picture. I'll probably try and find it on Facebook, but I posted a picture. I posted a picture of a spirit animal going into the lockdowns and all that nonsense. So it's like, and it was a picture of the "Push Me, Pull You" from the original movie with Rex Harrison about all the animals, looking for the giant pink snail, Dr. Doolittle. The original Dr. Doolittle, there was it was a very clever piece of manipulation of film, which, I am in Los Angeles and I worked in Hollywood for many years, but it was a picture of a llama, but it was called a "Push Me, Pull You," and it had two heads and nothing on its, and I said, that's my spirit animal, because this is what happens. You get to a place where they promise you everything. If you just sell me your soul, please sell me your soul. And you go, nope, not doing it. So in a way, loss of life is always going to bring mourning and sadness. There's going to be an emotional mourning and outpouring, and the powers that were, all these officialdom people are going to say, credit to the people who did their job and put the fire out, credit to. But it was purely by chance that this thing started in several places, the fire, in the early hours of the morning, whilst people were getting up to go to work. Had this happened, 7 or 8 hours prior, when it was dark and it was night, people would have not got the evacuation notices and the warnings on their black mirrors. They wouldn't have got those. So thank goodness for that. We don't need more death. We do need more kindness. All right. Thank you. I'm sending them blessings. I'm sure there are many hurting, but those that are hurting, maybe I'll light a candle for those who are hurting. And I know you do that with all innocence. Last thing they want to see is a candle. It's again, I got into a religious discussion with somebody the other day, and they had a huge crucifix around their neck, and they were talking about the second coming. And I said, the last thing, if there is such a thing, if there is a second coming, the last thing the guy wants to see, if the stories are true, when he comes back, is the instrument of his death, which was the cross. So maybe lighting a candle might be a bit over the top, but who cares? I know love pours out of you, Lisa, and I know you did that out of pure innocence, because you have that essence of innocence that is entirely brilliant and beautiful, and keep it. And that innocence is there in the purity of your voice when you sing, and there in the purity of your outpourings musically, artistically, and as a mother, which I consider to be, if there are we shouldn't live in a hierarchy, but if there is a hierarchical system that's in control, then the mother should be top of the tree, the mother. And you know what I'm talking about, and I know what I'm talking about. Okay. Oh, I mean it. Love conquers all. Love always wins. Been a bit of a struggle for a lot of people and a timely reminder for many. So that's it. I'm going to end this live because I'm going to try and put it up on my Nigel the Nomad. I love you. I love you all. Thank you for joining me in the chat. I would have liked to have answered your questions, but first thing in the morning, I try and have a stream of thought and stream of consciousness thought. But if anybody needs to ask me questions, I'm easy to contact. My phone number, my email, I'm easy to contact. If people want to talk to me, then call me up. I'm always there, and I'll always help those that need help, because that's where I come from. Kindness and love. All right. Bye now.